Earlier this week on June 16th, BMW finally unveiled to the world the updated BMW M5. So let's spend this week's deep dive episode unpacking the good, the bad, and the exciting regarding this new M5. Let's face it, BMW has an uphill climb right now with the new M5 because consumers aren't buying sedans like they used to. Last week we saw how Cadillac, like any other brand, was struggling to gain any sort of traction with sedans in today's world where everyone seems to want a big SUV or a crossover. So knowing that, this new M5 needs to impress and draw people into a performance sedan and away from the world of compromise that is buying an SUV. At the end of this video, I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether this M5 has what it takes to cut it in this market. First things first, this M5 is the battered brother of the current 5 Series, which was just updated for the 2020 model year. This refreshed F90 M5 shares a lot in looks with the regular 5 Series, which is certainly not bad, while also sharing a lot mechanically with the earlier F90 generation M5s, which is also not a bad thing. I just want to establish right away that this is a mid-generation refresh, not a completely new generation. With that frame of mind, let's explore what's new. Most prominent is the exterior, where up front the kidney grills were made a bit larger, however thankfully nothing like the upcoming 4 Series. Okay, I'm not alone on that, right? You all hate that look too, right? But okay, sorry, back on track. The M5 also has revised front bumper and larger air inlets for ducting and cooling, which really gives a more commanding presence on the road. The headlights are also redesigned and actually look a lot like the DRLs on the Jaguar XJ to me. Interesting, but besides that, they also feature BMW's new dynamic laser matrix beam, which is a mouthful, but also a really cool technology. However, that will have to be toned down and limited quite a bit in the US spec due to our regulations here, just like Audi has to do with their matrix LED headlights. Coming across to the side profile, the shape and proportions of the M5 remain consistent with the previous model years, but there are new 20-inch blacked out M wheels, as well as a revised side grille that comes in gloss black and looks pretty sharp. The M5 of course comes with some beefy brakes and as seen here can be optioned out with carbon ceramics on the competition spec, which those would feature gold caliper colors. Standard rotors can also be had in either gloss red or gloss black on the calipers to complement any paint color. Moving around back, the M5 is nicely modernized with updated 3D design taillights. BMW's marketing materials spent a lot of time, like a lot of time, talking about the new taillights and headlights, so clearly this is a big push from BMW. Not sure it's the most impactful area to invest your R&D budget, but hey, they sure do look good. It's also worth mentioning that there is no mention of turn signals anywhere in the marketing materials. The rear bumper is also updated slightly with a revised diffuser that comes in gloss black and nicely frames the quad exhaust tips. Speaking of exhaust, how does it sound? Well, unfortunately BMW didn't fully treat us to this yet, but here are some clips of this new M5 testing on the Nürburgring that at least give you a little taste, or maybe just more of a tease, of the exhaust. Unfortunately, that's the best we have to work with right now on the exhaust front, but let's keep moving and check out the new interior. Ever continuing is BMW's push for technology in these new vehicles. And in the case of the M5, that means a larger 12.3-inch infotainment screen, which is up from 10.25 inches in the previous models. The new system also supports wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay now. BMW also revised the way the driver will interact with the driving modes in the vehicle by adding a programmable setup and M mode button in the center of the vehicle, as well as updating the infotainment views for the M mode and track modes. Finally, the seats are also changed out specifically for the competition spec with an upgraded leather option that I can't even begin to pronounce, so it must be good leather. Besides these few revisions, the M5 retains the digital cockpit view and the wonderful M steering wheel from the previous model with the famous M1 and M2 buttons right on it, which is really a great setup. So that's all fine and dandy, but how does it perform? Well, it's an M5, so frankly it kicks ass. Mechanically speaking, the 2021 is very similar to the previous models. This means that there is a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 with 600 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque under the hood. Meanwhile, the M5 competition bumps this number up to 617 horsepower with the same torque output. This wonderful engine is hooked up to an 8-speed Steptronic transmission that is unchanged from the previous model. And of course, as a highlight of the F90 generation as a whole, this powertrain is all taken to the ground by a new xDrive system that allows for all-wheel drive, a rear bias mixed, or full rear-wheel drive. And the split of this system is all controlled through the 12.3-inch screen, and that is pretty damn cool. Ride quality on the road and track alike will be essentially unchanged unless you opt for the competition spec, which is receiving new shock absorbers and a recalibrated dampening system that pair nicely with the newly added dedicated track mode. As an interesting side note, BMW actually borrowed these shock absorbers from the new M8 Grand Coupe. All of these performance goodies lead to a blistering 0 to 60 time of 3.2 seconds, or even 3.1 for the competition spec. That's just incredible for a vehicle of this size. And this violent speed continues as well, hitting 200 kilometers per hour or 124 miles per hour in just 11.1 or 10.8 seconds respectively. Alright, so now we have to begin to the part of the video where I tell you there's a catch, right? Where I say it'll cost $10,000 more than it did before, and now it's not a good value, right? Thankfully, that would be wrong. Commanding a premium of just $800 over the previous model's starting price, now at $104,495, this revised M5 seems like a bit of a bargain, honestly. Well, as much as you can have a bargain in a $100,000 vehicle. So if you agree and the BMW M5 seems like a bargain to you, then go ahead and jump on it, because it's planned to be launched globally in August of this year. As I preface this video with, I am curious to hear what you guys think of the new M5. Is it enough to entice buyers back into it, or is it just too hard to sell a $100,000 sedan in today's market? Honestly, I'm not sure I've made up my mind yet on this, but in a year's time or so, we can look back at BMW sales numbers and we'll have a pretty good answer to this. But I'd like to hear your predictions down below. If you've made it this far into the video, why don't you go ahead and do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps us out a ton. And if you found this video entertaining and informative, make sure you also get subscribed and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our future uploads. We will be back with you all on Tuesday with another quick look episode, but until then, get out there, enjoy your weekend.